Welcome back to another episode. My name is Joel. I'm the founder of this channel and of pixelweb.com. Today's question is from a user of Quora, and they asked, what are the steps to mastering web development? Now, this person's already proficient in web development. They know the front end, they know the back end, and they just want to know how can they level up or take it to the next level. Well, the easy answer to that is just keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on creating websites, keep on fine-tuning your skill set when it comes to the front end or back end. And like anything else, the more experience you have in terms of the time put into developing websites, the better you're going to get overall, as time progresses. It takes about 10,000 hours to master, pretty much anything, or 10 years. And that's a very long time. But you can get very good and you can get great at web development in 1 to 5 years. And my next tip is surround yourself with people who are a little bit better than you in terms of web design and development. The better connected you are in terms of others within the field, to really tap on somebody's shoulder and say, listen, I'm having this little issue here with this part of my code. Can you check it out? And they'll look at it and be like, oh, look, you could do this, you could do this, you could refactor this code snippet a little bit better, to make it more efficient, or to, make it perform better, or to just solve the solution a lot faster. If you need a solution to a problem, and you write a piece of code that maybe takes 100 or 1,000 lines of code versus somebody else's solution that comes up with the same result within 10 to 20 lines of code, 10 or 20 lines of code is a lot better. It's a lot easier to work with, and it's easier to follow the code logic as time goes by. And you get that skill set, one, with practice, and two, with being able to bounce off your ideas with other web developers who are thinking about things maybe just a little bit differently than you are, or have a different approach to solving that problem. And that's the thing with coding. It's like snowflakes. No two snowflakes are alike, right? So if you ask a bunch of web developers, like 5 to 10 web developers, to each come up with a solution to a specific problem, you're going to come up with potentially 10 different solutions and 10 different ways to code it. And are they using PHP? Are they using Python? Are they using Ruby on Rails? What are they using? Object-oriented programming code, or what type of database are they interacting with? So there's a bunch of different, methods to solve a problem. And the greater group of people that you have, the greater number of people that you're connected with, the better opportunity you have to learn and master web development. And then one other tip that I have is learn your tools. At the end of the day, if you master your tools and you become an efficient programmer, you'll get better over time because you'll be faster at programming. Now, if you're not good at working with your computer or your text editor or IDE, then that'll slow you down. Imagine having to, track down a piece of code within your application, your web application, by going line by line. That might be fine if you only have 100 lines, in a particular file, HTML file or PHP file, as part of your website. But what if you have tens of thousands of lines? What about 100,000 lines of code? Could you imagine having to read through all that? What about using the search capabilities, the find and replace capabilities? Now that speeds up the process of finding or tracking something down. What about code linters? Being able to, have a program running in the background that'll determine the quality of your code, or code cleaners, that'll format your code properly so that way it's easier to read and understand by other developers who may be looking at your code. These are all things that will help you master your programming. Learning to obviously know the basics of the particular programming language that you're studying, tapping some the minds of other developers that are also good or maybe even better at coding than you are. And I always recommend leveling up by learning from people who are better. And I always recommend, mentoring those who are following in a similar path. That way you're giving back and you're learning at the same time. And then just put in the time. Learn your tools because your tools will help you out. Trust me, I mean, diff checkers are very helpful. Learning how to use task runners like Grunt.js or Gulp, is very, very helpful. Learning to use a version control system like Git is amazingly helpful. I mean, let me tell you, you can create branches of a project to spin off an idea of where you want to go, and if that doesn't pan out, then you can just delete the branch without impacting your main project. These are things that are helpful, make you more productive as a coder, a more efficient coder, and ultimately will help you get significantly better as a coder. My final tip is realize that there's always going to be something new for you to learn. Will you ever be the perfect coder? Probably not. I mean, it's maybe a handful of people who ever existed that can have the title of near perfect coders. But in the vast majority of us programmers are always striving just to get better, and that's a good thing because there's new versions of languages coming out. There's updates to languages. There's new ways to do things, new tools to help us along the way, and all these things will help us in our careers as web developers and programmers, and ultimately get us to be better. So don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Realize that you're good now, you can get greater, and ultimately you can become a master of your language, but that doesn't mean that you're a perfect coder. Just someone who's very knowledgeable and someone who knows that they always have to research and study more. Don't be afraid to Google. Most of the issues that programmers run into, somebody else has already ran into that same issue, and you can find solutions to that either here on YouTube or on Quora or on some other knowledge-based website that that a lot of developers go to. All right, so hopefully you found this episode helpful. I just wanted to talk about a topic and a question that was asked on the social knowledge-based website called Quora about how can you become a master at web development. Hopefully I answered that. I gave my 2 cents. Hopefully it's a good 2 cents. And if you found this episode helpful, then definitely give us a thumbs up. And if you have any thoughts, ideas, or suggestions, leave them down below in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe, because over the next few videos and series of playlists that I'll create here, we're going to dive deep into the world of web development, web design, using WordPress, search engine optimization, and social media, and everything that revolves around that, and how you as an individual can benefit from it and learn to use it. All right, so again, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.